Go home. There's no room for you. My mom said that to me at Thanksgiving, right in front of my wife and daughter. What my grandpa did left everyone speechless. All right, Reddit, buckle up because this story is wilder than a Florida man headline. My parents slammed the door on me and my family at Thanksgiving. My grandpa caught it on camera. And what the old man did? Bless his heart. He nuked them from orbit. Not spoiling. Let me tell you what went down. I, 33 male, live in Austin, work as a certified structural welder. Started doing concrete work straight out of high school because college wasn't really an option financially. Learned welding on the job. And now I make decent money building stuff that'll outlast all of us. It's honest work, and I actually dig it. The crew I work with is solid. Carlos, my foreman, is this no-nonsense guy from El Paso who can eyeball a beam and tell you if it's off by an eighth of an inch. Mike handles security and used to be Army MP. Dude's built like a linebacker and doesn't take crap from anyone. We mostly work on commercial buildings downtown, some residential stuff when the market's good. My wife Elena teaches fourth grade and somehow manages to not lose her mind dealing with 28 kids all day. Woman's got the patience of a saint and comes home with stories that'd make you lose faith in humanity's future. Last week, one of her students asked if George Washington invented the iPhone. Elena spent 20 minutes explaining the concept of historical timelines while keeping a straight face. We've got a daughter, Bella, who just turned 7 and is basically a walking question mark with pigtails. Last week, she asked me if dinosaurs had belly buttons. I told her I'd have to Google that one. Here's where it gets complicated. I've got a younger brother, Danny, who's been the golden child since we were in diapers. Dude's 29 now, works some corporate job downtown where he wears khakis and says stuff like, "Let's circle back on that," without irony. Growing up, this guy could have burned the house down, and my parents would have blamed the matches. The favoritism wasn't subtle. It was like living in a sitcom where I was the unfunny side character. Perfect example. When I was 12, I accidentally broke my dad's fishing rod trying to cast it. Grounded for 2 weeks, had to pay for a replacement with my lawn mowing money. Danny breaks the same rod 3 months later? Oh, honey, accidents happen. Let's get ice cream. The favoritism was so obvious our mailman probably noticed. When I was 16, I saved up for 8 months working at a tire shop to buy my first truck, a beat-up 92 Ranger that needed work but ran decent. I was so proud of that thing. Spent every weekend fixing it up, learning about engines, actually becoming pretty good with my hands. 3 weeks after I got it running perfectly, Danny, who was 12 and couldn't even drive yet, mentions he likes it. Next thing I know, Rick pulls me aside and says, "Your brother really admires that truck? You should let him have it when he turns 16. Family shares things, not asks. Tells me I should give away the truck I bought with my own money." When I said hell no, suddenly I was selfish and not thinking about family. They ended up buying Danny a brand new Silverado for his 16th birthday, while I kept my old Ranger. The worst part happened my senior year. I got accepted to a trade school program that would have paid for my welding certification. Full ride, guaranteed job placement afterward. When I told them at dinner, Rick barely looked up from his steak. "That's nice, Tom. Danny, tell us more about your SAT prep class." Danny wasn't even a freshman yet, but suddenly his college plans were more important than my actual acceptance letter. Grace just nodded along. It's so important to plan ahead for real college. Like learning a trade that pays 6 figures wasn't real enough. My dad Rick is one of those middle management types who thinks his 20 years at Allstate makes him Warren Buffett. Mom Grace is the type who asks to speak to the manager when her Starbucks has too much foam. She's got this passive-aggressive thing down to an art form, can make you feel like garbage while smiling and using her concerned voice. When Danny and I both got married and had kids, I stupidly thought the favoritism would dial back. Nope, it got worse. Danny's kid Connor is 8, years older than Bella. When Connor was born, my parents went full helicopter grandparents. Showed up at the hospital with a car seat that cost more than my monthly truck payment, redecorated Danny's nursery. Grace took 2 weeks off work to help. When Bella was born, they visited for maybe an hour, brought a $25 Target gift card, and left because they had dinner plans. Every family gathering became the Connor Appreciation Hour. Last year at Rick's 56th birthday, they pulled their biggest power move yet. After everyone left, they surprised Connor with Disney World tickets. Just him. When I asked about Bella, Grace looked at me like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. "We can only afford one grandchild this time, Tom. Maybe next year." Bella, being 7 and not understanding adult politics, asked me that night why great-grandma and Grandpa Rick only bought Connor presents. What do you tell a kid? Elena found me in the garage later that night, standing next to my workbench just staring at my tools, trying to figure out how to explain family dysfunction to a second grader. I completely lost it. Told them exactly what I thought about treating their granddaughter like a consolation prize. Instead of apologizing, Rick got in my face with that condescending, I'm being reasonable voice. Tom, you're being overly sensitive. We treat both kids the same. When I pointed out the obvious differences, Grace jumped in with, if you can't appreciate what we do for your family, maybe you shouldn't come around anymore. So, we took their advice. For 8 months, we ghosted every family event. Honestly, best 8 months in years. No more watching my daughter get ignored, no more biting my tongue when they fawned over Connor, no more pretending everything was normal. Then, Thanksgiving rolled around and, enter the legend, Grandpa Bobby called. Now let me tell you about Bobby. Dude's 81, still drives his 95 F-150 because new trucks have too many computers, and gives exactly 0 fucks about anyone's feelings. He's the type who'll tell you your beard looks like roadkill while handing you a drink, and somehow you end up thanking him for it. Bobby did 2 tours in Vietnam, spent 40 years in construction, and has this supernatural ability to see through people's crap. Guy came back from Nam in 71 and jumped straight into the construction boom in Austin. Worked his way up from carrying tools to running crews, eventually started his own company, built half the strip malls in Cedar Park back in the 80s when Austin was just starting to explode. He's got stories that'd make your hair curl, like the time he fired a guy for showing up drunk and the dude tried to fight him with a nail gun. Bobby just took it away from him like he was disarming a toddler with a water pistol. When other adults were feeding me participation trophy nonsense, he told me, "Kid, you're not the brightest bulb, but you show up and work hard. That matters more than being smart." Brutal honesty wrapped in genuine love. He taught me how to use real tools when I was 10, let me help with actual projects instead of giving me some baby hammer and a block of wood. By the time I was 12, I could frame a wall and run electrical wire. Skills that actually paid my bills later. He's also the only person Rick's actually scared of. When Bobby calls in early November, I answer on the first ring. Tom, where the hell have you been hiding? Haven't seen you and the girls since summer. Hey, Grandpa. We've been avoiding the family drama circuit. Yeah, I figured. Your parents are being idiots and Danny's got his head so far up their ass he needs a periscope to see daylight. But I'm hosting Thanksgiving at my place this year, and I want you there. Tell Elena if she doesn't bring those dinner rolls, I'm changing my Wi-Fi password and not telling her what it is. Bobby's place is this old ranch house in Cedar Park that he's been fixing up forever. Guy's got a workshop that's basically a hardware store and enough backyard for kids to run wild. The workshop is where Bobby really comes alive. Every tool has its place, organized like a military operation. He's got this ancient table saw from the 70s that still cuts straighter than anything you can buy at Home Depot. Bella loves going there because Bobby actually lets her help with projects instead of just watching from the sidelines. I don't know, Grandpa. Things are pretty ugly with everyone right now. Did I stutter? I said I want you there. Besides, someone needs to make sure I don't accidentally poison your father's turkey. I said accidentally. For the next 2 weeks, Bella works on a card for Bobby. She writes, "Thank you for always listening to me," in purple crayon. Kids got good instincts about people. I had no idea my parents were about to hand Bobby all the ammunition he needed to nuke their entire world. Thanksgiving Day shows up, and we're running late because Bella decided she needed to redo her hair 4 times to look perfect for great-grandpa. Can't argue with that logic. We pull up to Bobby's around 4:20 p.m., and the driveway looks like a car dealership. Danny's white BMW, my parents' silver Lexus, and a couple other vehicles. Bobby's got the place decorated with those orange lights, and one of those inflatable turkeys that Bella thinks is the funniest thing ever invented. I ring the doorbell and Grace opens the door. She's wearing this orange sweater, hair and makeup done like she's hosting a cooking show. The woman's got this thing where she dresses up for family events like she's expecting photographers, then acts surprised when people notice she's overdressed for eating turkey and watching football. For half a second, I think maybe we can just get through this without drama. Then I see her face. That fake smile that doesn't touch her eyes. The way she's positioned to block the doorway like a bouncer. Oh, you're here. Not, "Hi, Tom," or "Happy Thanksgiving," or even "Come in." Just, "You're here," like we're Jehovah's Witnesses. "Happy Thanksgiving, Mom. Bobby invited us. We're at capacity. There's no room for more people." I blink. What do you mean, no room? The house is full, Tom. We simply can't accommodate anyone else. Behind her, I can literally see empty chairs around Bobby's dining table. She's lying to my face and not even trying to hide it. The dining room's got seating for 12 easy, and I count maybe 6 people inside. Elena steps up beside me. "Grace, we brought rolls and green bean casserole. Bobby specifically asked us to come." Grace doesn't even look at Elena, just keeps staring at me like I'm something stuck to her shoe. As I said, we're at capacity. You'll need to leave. That's when Bella pipes up. Grandma Grace, I made a card for great grandpa Bobby. Can I give it to him? Grace looks down at my daughter with pure dismissal. Not today, sweetheart. Maybe another time. The tone she uses on Bella flips every switch in my brain, like she's some random kid bothering her at the grocery store. Elena's grip tightens on the casserole dish, and I can feel her teacher instincts kicking in. Mom, Bobby specifically invited us. He's expecting us. You should have confirmed. I'm sorry, but there's simply no space. She starts closing the door. I put my hand out to stop it. I want to talk to Bobby. Bobby's busy hosting. I'll let him know you stopped by. From inside the house, Bobby's voice booms across 3 rooms. Grace! Who's at the door? If that's Tom, get him in here before the Cowboys screw up this drive. Her face goes white. She turns and calls back, It's nobody important, Bobby. Nobody important. She just called her son and granddaughter nobody important, loud enough for half the party to hear. Heavy footsteps approach from inside. Grace looks panicked. Please just go, Tom. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Bobby appears behind her, wearing his usual flannel and Wrangler jeans, looking confused and increasingly pissed off. Tom, there you are, son. Why are you standing on my porch like a door-to-door salesman? Get your ass in here. Then he sees our faces. What the hell's going on? Grace jumps in immediately. Bobby, I was just explaining that we're at capacity. There simply isn't room for more people. Bobby looks past her into his own living room, counts the empty chairs, then looks back at her like she just told him the moon is made of cheese. Capacity? Grace, it's my goddamn house. The temperature drops about 20 degrees. You could hear a pin drop in Dallas. Bella! There's my favorite great-granddaughter! Bobby pushes past Grace like she's a piece of furniture and scoops up Bella. Did you bring me one of those cards you've been working on? Bella lights up like a Christmas tree. Yes! I drew you in your workshop with all your tools. Well, I definitely need to see that masterpiece. Come on, let's get you some turkey before your dad eats it all. We make it into the living room, and I can see Danny on the couch with Connor, Bobby's neighbor Jim, and his wife Betty by the TV, and my cousin Ryan leaning against the kitchen doorway with a drink. There's clearly plenty of room. Grace was just being vindictive for sport. Bobby gets us set up at the dining table and starts loading Bella's plate with enough food to feed a small army. For the next hour, he gives Bella his complete attention while she explains her volcano project in excruciating detail. Meanwhile, Grace and Rick are doing this passive-aggressive thing where they talk really loudly about Connor's latest achievements while shooting dirty looks in our direction. The contrast is brutal. Bobby's asking Bella real questions about her project, like what type of lava she used, baking soda and vinegar, obviously, and whether real volcanoes work the same way. Grace and Rick are having this loud conversation about Connor's gifted program testing scores, making sure everyone can hear how exceptional their golden grandson is. Danny's just sitting there looking uncomfortable, caught between his parents' performance and the obvious tension in the room. After dinner, Bobby takes Bella out to the workshop to show her his new drill press. That's when Grace corners me by the coffee pot. I hope you're happy. You've completely disrupted the family dynamic here. By bringing my daughter to see her great-grandfather? By forcing your way in where you clearly weren't wanted? Elena steps between us. Grace, we were invited. Bobby specifically asked us to come. Bobby's getting old. He doesn't understand the complicated family situation. What's complicated about treating your granddaughter like she matters? Grace's mask slips for just a second. Some people need to learn their place in this family. That's when Bobby's voice cuts through from the doorway. And what place would that be, Grace? We all freeze. Bobby's standing there with Bella, who's holding some piece of wood he let her sand smooth. His expression is completely unreadable, which is somehow more terrifying than if he looked angry. Bobby, I was just... You were just what? Explaining to my grandson that he needs to know his place? In my house? On Thanksgiving? Of course not. I would never say something like that. Bella, sweetie, why don't you go show Connor your wood project? I need to have a grown-up conversation. After Bella skips off, Bobby closes the kitchen door behind him. When he speaks, his voice is quiet, but there's steel underneath every word. Grace, I've been watching this for years. I kept my mouth shut because it wasn't my business how you raised your kids. But this is my house, and what just happened at my front door? That made it my business. Bobby, you don't understand the full situation. I understand plenty. He walks over to his kitchen counter and picks up this small tablet device. You know, Tom, I got tired of people stealing packages off my porch, so I installed one of those doorbell cameras a few months ago. Neat little gadget. Records everything in high definition. My stomach drops into my boots. Want to see what really happened at my front door today? Bobby taps the screen, and suddenly we're all watching a crystal clear replay of Grace turning us away. Every lie, every dismissive comment, every moment of cruelty toward Bella, all preserved in digital clarity. We're at capacity. There's no room for more people. The house is full, Tom. We simply can't accommodate anyone else. But the most damning part comes when you can hear Bobby clearly calling from inside the house, asking who's at the door, and Grace responding loud and clear, "It's nobody important." Ryan, who followed us into the kitchen for another drink, lets out a low whistle. Damn, Grace. When they say caught red-handed, they usually don't mean it this literally. Dead silence. Rick's staring at the floor like it's the most interesting thing he's ever seen. Grace is opening and closing her mouth like a fish out of water. Anyone want to explain this to me? Bobby asks. Danny chooses this exact moment to walk into the kitchen looking for another drink. Bobby replays the video for his benefit. I watch my brother's face as he realizes what Grace did and how bad this looks. Well, if Tom had just called ahead to confirm the plans, Danny, Bobby's voice could cut glass. Stop talking, right now, before you say something that gets you kicked out too. Let me make something crystal clear to everyone in this room. This is my house. I invited Tom and his family for Thanksgiving dinner. Grace decided to play bouncer and lie to everyone involved, including me. That's not a misunderstanding. That's deliberate cruelty. He looks each of them dead in the eye. Here's what's happening. Rick, you and Grace are leaving my house, right now. Danny, you can stay if you keep your mouth shut, but if you say one more word defending this garbage, you can leave with them. Rick finds his voice. Dad, you can't just throw out your own family. Watch me. Grace tries one more time. Bobby, please, if you'll just listen to our side. Lady, I've been listening to your side for years. You made this my business when you lied to me in my own house about my own grandson. Bobby walks over to the window and looks out at his backyard, where Bella and Connor are playing with his dog. You know what I see when I look at that little girl? I see a kid who's smart, funny, and kind to everyone she meets. But her own grandmother treats her like an inconvenience. He turns back to Grace. You want to know what your granddaughter asked me out in the workshop? She asked if she did something wrong to make you not like her. A 7-year-old thinks she's done something wrong to deserve how you treat her. Elena's eyes fill up. Grace says weakly, I never meant for her to think. You meant exactly what you did. You wanted her to know she doesn't matter as much as Connor. Bobby opens the kitchen door. Get out of my house. Danny, decide right now whether you're staying or going with them. Danny looks back and forth between his parents and Bobby, like he's trying to solve a math problem. Come on, Danny, Grace says. We don't have to listen to this. Danny takes a deep breath, and for a second I think he might actually stand up to them. Mom, maybe you should just apologize to Tom and… Get out, Bobby says flatly. All 3 of you. You've got 30 seconds before I call the sheriff and have you removed for trespassing. As they file toward the door, Rick tries one last guilt trip. Come on, Dad, we're family. This is crazy. This is… Bobby's response is immediate. Nope. You want to act like strangers to my grandson? I'll treat you like strangers. After they leave, Bobby comes back to the kitchen, where Elena and I are still trying to process what just happened. Well, he says, opening the refrigerator, that was about 10 years overdue. Anyone want pie? Bobby calls me at 7 a.m. the next morning. His voice has that edge that tells me he's been up all night thinking about something. Tom, you and Elena need to come over this morning. Bring Bella if she wants to mess around in the workshop again. We've got some business to discuss. When we arrive around 10 a.m., there's a black Mercedes in the driveway I don't recognize. Bobby meets us at the door with coffee and a grin that would make a shark nervous. Tom, meet my attorney, David Martinez. David, this is my grandson Tom and his wife Elena. David's a sharp-looking guy in his 50s, professionally dressed but not stuffy. He shakes our hands and gets straight to business once we're settled in Bobby's living room. The guy's got this confidence that comes from winning more cases than he's lost, and the expensive briefcase suggests his clients aren't exactly hurting for money. Bobby settles into his recliner, with the satisfaction of someone about to drop a nuclear weapon. Tom, I'm 81 years old. I've got more money and property than I know what to do with, and yesterday reminded me that some people in this family don't deserve a damn penny of it. He gestures around the room. This house, the 47 acres it sits on, my workshop, the 3 rental properties I own in town, the commercial building downtown, all of it's going to you and Elena when I'm gone. Rick and Danny can go pound sand. I'm speechless. Bobby owns half of Cedar Park. The rental income alone is probably more than I make welding. We're talking about millions of dollars in assets. The commercial building downtown houses a restaurant, accounting firm, and insurance office. I drive past it every day going to work, never knowing Bobby owned the whole thing. Grandpa, you don't have to do this because of yesterday. Don't tell me what I have to do, boy. I've been thinking about this for months. Yesterday just confirmed what I already knew. David pulls out a thick folder. I've prepared new wills and trust documents. Everything transfers to Tom and Elena, with specific provisions for Bella's education and future needs. There are also some immediate transfers Bobby wants to make. Immediate transfers? Bobby leans forward with that mischievous look he gets when he's about to mess with someone. Remember that house your parents live in on Maple Street? The one they've been renting from me for 15 years at $200 a month when it should go for $1,400? As of right now, it belongs to you. My brain stops working. They're getting evicted? Nope. You're their new landlord. You can decide what to charge them for rent. Bobby's grin widens. David's also prepared eviction notices in case you want to use them. David explains the legal technicalities while I try to wrap my head around suddenly owning real estate. The house is a 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, worth about $340,000, according to recent appraisals. Bobby's been subsidizing their rent for over a decade, basically giving them a free ride worth $17,000 a year. The math is staggering. They've saved over $250,000 in below-market rent over the years. By noon, we've signed enough paperwork to choke a horse. I'm now the legal owner of a $340,000 house and the future heir to an estate worth several $1,000,000. Tom, I want you to give your parents exactly 30 days' notice that their rent is going to market rate. And I want you to send Danny a copy of the new will, so he knows exactly what his little performance yesterday cost him. That afternoon, David hand-delivers official notice to my parents. Their rent is increasing from $200 to $1,400 per month, effective in 30 days. They can pay up or move out. Danny gets a certified copy of the new will delivered to his office. The family dynamics just shifted from dysfunctional to full-scale nuclear warfare. The first call comes from Rick at 6:47 p.m. that same day. I let it go to voicemail because I'm helping Bella with her homework. His voice is shaking with pure rage. Tom, you manipulative little shit. You think you can turn an old man against his own family and steal what's rightfully ours? This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The calls don't stop coming. Grace leaves sobbing voicemails about family loyalty and misunderstandings. Danny tries the reasonable brother approach at first, then switches to threats when that doesn't work. By the end of the week, I've got 52 missed calls and about 200 text messages ranging from desperate begging to straight-up threats. Elena starts documenting everything like the smart teacher she is. Screenshots of the texts, recordings of the voicemails, printouts of everything. She sets up this whole filing system on her laptop, organizing threats by date and severity. Woman missed her calling as a private investigator. 2 weeks later, things escalated hard. I'm at a job site downtown, working on some structural beams, when my foreman Carlos comes over looking uncomfortable. Tom, there's some people at the main gate asking for you and causing problems. Security can't get them to leave. I walk over to the entrance and find Rick, Grace, and Danny, standing by the gate arguing with our security guard Mike. The construction site is buzzing with activity, cranes moving steel beams, concrete trucks backing up, guys in hard hats everywhere. It's dangerous as hell if you don't know what you're doing. Tom, Grace calls out in this fake cheerful voice that makes my skin crawl. We just wanted to talk to you. Ma'am, this is an active construction site, Mike says firmly. Hard hats and safety vests are required beyond this point, and you're not authorized personnel. I stay behind the safety barrier, where they can see me but can't reach me. What do you want? Rick puts on his insurance salesman voice. Son, your grandfather lost his mind. He's 81 years old. We need to discuss this situation like rational adults. He seemed pretty clear when he told you to get out of his house. Tom, please, Grace interrupts. We're family. We can work this out without lawyers and all this legal nonsense. No, we can't. You made that clear when you slammed the door in my daughter's face. Danny steps forward looking desperate. Bro, come on. This is about money now. We can split everything fairly. Danny, the only reason you're here is because you're about to lose your inheritance. Don't pretend this is about family. Rick's mask slips, and his true personality comes out. You ungrateful little bastard. After everything we've done for you over the years. Like what? Treating me like the backup kid my entire life? Carlos steps closer, sensing things are about to go sideways. Some of the other welders have stopped working to watch the drama unfold. Folks, you need to leave the premises immediately. That's when Rick completely loses it and tries to reach through the fence to grab me. Listen here, you piece of shit. I step back and pull out my phone. Carlos, call the police. I want them arrested for trespassing and harassment. Security escorts them off the property while Grace sobs dramatically, and Rick hurls threats. Word spreads fast in construction. By the end of the day, half the welders in Austin know my parents are completely unhinged. 3 days later, Elena calls me at work with this tight, angry voice I've never heard before. Tom, you need to come home right now. We have a serious problem. I find Elena in our kitchen with her laptop open, showing me a Facebook message from Danny's wife, Sarah, a woman I've maybe talked to 5 times total at family gatherings. The message is a masterpiece of manipulation. Detailed photos of our house taken from the street, pictures of Bella's school with comments about pickup times, screenshots of Elena's classroom and school website, photos of my work truck with the license plate visible. Sarah somehow got hold of our bank account information and sent screenshots of our recent transactions. How the hell did she get our banking information? Danny works for that financial services company downtown, Elena says grimly. He probably has access to databases he shouldn't be using for personal reasons. That evening, I drive straight to David Martinez's office with a folder full of evidence. Threatening voicemails, harassing text messages, photos of Sarah's Facebook stalking campaign, documentation of Danny's probable illegal access to our financial records. David looks through everything with the satisfaction of a lawyer who's about to make some serious money. Tom, this is textbook criminal harassment. The banking information access alone could get Danny fired and possibly face federal charges. We can file for protective orders against all of them. Do it. All of it. The restraining orders get approved within 48 hours. Rick, Grace, Danny, and Sarah are legally prohibited from contacting us, coming within 500 feet of our home, Elena's school, Bella's school, or my workplace. For about 2 weeks, things are quiet. Then Bobby calls with news that makes my blood run cold. Tom, you need to know. Your parents hired some bottom-feeder lawyer to contest my will. Guy named Peter who got disbarred in Dallas for ethics violations and set up shop here. Can they actually overturn your will? David says they don't have a snowball's chance in hell, especially with that doorbell camera footage. But they're going to make noise and waste time hoping we'll settle. The legal challenge is pathetic. Peter files paperwork claiming Bobby has dementia and was unduly influenced by me. It's such obvious nonsense that the judge schedules a hearing for the following week instead of the usual months-long process. The restraining order holds for exactly 23 days. I'm in the backyard with Bella on a Saturday morning in January, helping her build a snowman from the freak snowfall we got overnight, when I hear car doors slam in the driveway. Bella, go inside right now and find Mommy. Tell her to call 911. But Daddy, we're not finished with the snowman. Right now, kiddo. Go inside and lock the door behind you. Bella runs inside as Rick and Grace come around the back of the house. They look like they haven't slept or showered in weeks. Rick's face is red and bloated, Grace's makeup is smeared, and they both have that desperate edge of people who've lost everything. Tom, we need to talk, Rick says, trying to sound reasonable while clearly fighting not to scream. You're violating a restraining order. Leave now or you're going to jail. Just hear us out for 5 minutes, Grace pleads. We lost the court case. Peter took our retainer fee and disappeared. We're going to lose the house in 2 weeks. That's not my problem. Rick steps closer, and I can smell the desperation on him. Tom, we're your parents. We made some mistakes, but you can't just throw away your own family. I'm not throwing you away. I'm letting you face the natural consequences of your choices. Grace breaks down completely. Please, Tom. We'll do anything. We'll treat Bella better. We'll apologize to everyone. We'll go to family counseling. Grace, you called my daughter nobody important and slammed a door in her face on Thanksgiving. That's who you really are. Desperation doesn't change that. That's when Rick finally snaps completely. You think you're so much better than us? You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A mediocre welder with a mediocre wife raising a mediocre kid, and now you think some inheritance makes you special? The police sirens cut him off mid-rant. 2 patrol cars pull into our driveway with lights flashing. The arrest is textbook. Officers read them their rights while Grace sobs about family betrayal and Rick rages about corrupt cops. Several neighbors come out to watch the show. Mrs. Rodriguez from next door actually starts clapping. 2 days later, Danny calls from a number I don't recognize. Tom? It's Danny. Please don't hang up. Sarah left me, man. She took Connor and moved back to her parents' place in Dallas. Cleaned out our joint bank account. Filed for divorce. Turns out she was only sticking around for Grandpa's inheritance money. The thing is, he sounds genuinely broken. For just a second, I almost feel bad for him. Then I remember him choosing their side at Thanksgiving. I remember 30 years of him getting the golden child treatment while I got table scraps. Danny, I'm hanging up now. Don't call this number again. Tom, wait, please. I end the call and block the number. 4 months later, Rick and Grace move out of the rental house into some apartment complex on the other side of town. They pack everything into a beat-up U-Haul and drive off without saying goodbye to anyone. Danny gets fired from his financial services job for the data breach. Last I heard through the grapevine, he's selling used cars at some lot in Houston and living in a studio apartment. Elena and I take Bella to visit Bobby every Sunday after church. The old man's teaching her how to use basic hand tools safely, and she's building a birdhouse for our backyard. When she shows him her latest school projects, he listens like she's presenting to NASA. 6 months later, I'm at Bobby's place helping him replace some deck boards when my cousin Ryan shows up with drinks and gossip. Dude, you'll never guess what happened, Ryan says, cracking open a shiner. Ran into Danny at Home Depot yesterday. Guy's working there now, wearing one of those orange aprons, trying to explain drill bits to customers. How'd he look? Like he aged 10 years and 6 months. But here's the best part. He saw me, came over all friendly, and asked if I thought you'd be willing to work something out about the inheritance situation. I nearly choke on my drink. He's still thinking there's a deal to be made? Gets better. He suggested maybe you could loan him some money to get back on his feet, since you're doing so well now. 2 weeks later, Bobby calls while I'm at work. His voice sounds different, weaker somehow. Tom, I need you to come by the house tonight. Got some news from the doctor. My stomach drops. What kind of news? The kind where they use words like aggressive and 6 months. But don't go getting all emotional on me. I've had a good run. That evening, Bobby's sitting in his workshop with a drink, looking completely calm while delivering the worst news possible. Pancreatic cancer. Apparently, I've been growing my own little science project for months. He takes a sip. Doctor says I should get my affairs in order. I told him my affairs have been in order since 1973. Grandpa, here's the thing, Tom. Your parents don't know yet. And when they find out, they're going to come crawling back like cockroaches when the lights come on, thinking they can kiss ass their way back into the will. Bobby stands up and walks over to his workbench, picks up a small wooden box. So I made them a little something. He opens it to reveal a single penny taped to the bottom. That's their inheritance. 1 cent each. Legally, they can't contest it because they got something. His grin is absolutely diabolical. Best dollar I ever spent at the hardware store for this box. Edit. For everyone asking in the comments, yes, they tried to contest Bobby's will after he passed 6 months later. David said it was the easiest case he'd ever handled. The penny inheritance was legally airtight. The whole thing got thrown out in about 15 minutes.